is going on tonight
Maybe
with
big.
this silly
Put me right
screen?
up front, wanted me to be seen.
Yeah, it really scared me, man. I was like, man, I need to screenshot that and put it in the garage, keep the roaches away.
Exactly. Hope everybody's ready for this one tonight because we've been on for about 15 minutes getting ready, and it's been fun so far. So if we can make this show as good as the first 15 minutes of talking, then it's going to be good. How are you two doing tonight?
I'm fantastic.
Awesome. Well, all right. I'm going to give you guys the floor to introduce yourself. So we're going to go ladies first. My good friend Tara.
Well, I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're
got
not
confused there.
Yeah. Tara, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, Matt.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. We've known each other for a couple years now, and so this was exciting. I hit you up a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "Hey, you want to come on the podcast?" Because we work together quite a bit, and you said, "Yeah, I got a great idea for the podcast." And so, just introduce yourself and what do you do now?
Sure. So my name is Tara Tucker, and I'm a behavioral health community paramedic, which means we follow up with people after calls, specifically around mental health and substance use. Try to get folks connected to treatment, address things that we call social determinants of health, and really just try to provide that hope, like Jeff will tell you, from the medical side of things.
Yeah. Yeah, and you and I met, oh gosh, it's been, I don't know how many years ago. It's been quite a bit when I was an air medical pilot, and you used to have me in to speak all the time. In fact,
Yes.
many people don't know this, but I've told the story, but you had me come speak one time, and I said, "Okay, Tara, what do you want me to come speak about?" And you said, "Well, I want you to come tell your story. My story about losing my friend Clark Beatty, and most everybody knows that story." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll come tell my story." And I said, "Well, what else you want me to talk about?" And you said, "Well, I want you to talk about PTSD." And I was like, "Well, why do you want me to talk about PTSD?" And I don't know if you remember that conversation, but you just said, "Well, why don't you go look it up?" And I was like, "Look it up? Why am I going to come talk about PTSD? I don't have PTSD." And I started reading about PTSD and started, going into the trauma of losing my friend. And you're the first person that really kind of heard me tell my story over and over. And you're the first person that pointed it out to me and said, go read, do a little research. And you're the first time I ever spoke about it was for you and speaking to first responders and veterans. So appreciate that because it made a big difference to me.
And then you went down that road of the master's in counseling.
Yep. So that you helped me go down the road of getting a master's degree in counseling for sure. So thank you. Jeff, how are you? You look like just your regular, normal, average Joe.
I am, man. My name's Jeff Stoltz. I'm just a guy that got pulled out of a ditch, and I can't shut up about it, So I'm the founder and national director of Broken Chains, and we're a Christian recovery motorcycle group. Basically, we say we're bikers and motorcycle enthusiasts who have found hope and healing in Jesus Christ through the Christ-centered recovery process, helping other people realize that change is possible. Because there's a lot of people out there don't know that change is possible, So we got about 6,000 members. We're in all 50 states. We're in 13 countries around the world, and we just like to say we're an army of hope dealers, right? So we're out there sharing the hope and freedom that we found. I'm also the founder of a motorcycle missionary organization, and that I travel around the country, and God uses me in a unique way at gas stations and restaurants and motorcycle shops. And, I mean, people out there are dying, man. People are just, they're dying. People are hopeless. They're dying. And so God uses me. And we're also ordaining Christian bikers around the country through a unique process, a really unique ordination process of peer support training, mental health coaching, Narcan certification, as well as evangelism and standard gospel doctrine. Because, there are people out there, there's a whole segment of society that'll talk to a guy that looks like me, I mean, there's people, there's sex trafficking victims, prostitutes, drug addicts, gang members, bikers, homeless people that can resonate with a guy that looks like me and not a guy in a suit and tie, And so we're equipping bikers around the country to be able to reach that segment of society, So
Wait a minute.
Bathroom remodeling company. Bam.
Wait a minute. You're a biker?
I rode a bike once.
Oh.
But, this is one of those screens behind me here. This is
Got
not a
it.
real motorcycle.
Because right now you're screaming,
I got a shop full of motorcycles.
Yeah.
I would have guessed accountant for sure.
That's right. That's right. Well, how did you two meet and how did y'all get linked up? First off, and then we're going to get into your story more, Jeff, because we have to have you tell it. But I want to know how y'all met and how y'all became a team here.
Well, go ahead, Tara. Hit it
So
up.
we were at an event that Fayetteville Police Department has called Faith in Action, and I saw his group. They were actually feeding people, right, cooking hot dogs, and never made it over there to talk to Jeff. But after that, I reached out to him on Facebook and said, "Hey, I'd like to talk to you. You know, we're doing this down in Fayetteville." And fortunately, he said, "Hey, I'll talk to you." Right, and he
Yeah.
didn't know what he was getting into when he
Jeff, I
signed up
didn't know
for
what
that.
I was getting into either, man. Come
I
on.
hear
I'm
you.
with you, bro.
Well, it was so great because, like I said, we're recovery bikers, and so we're 12-step recovery people.
Mhm.
And the end of recovery is just the beginning of recovery. So step 12 says, after having had a spiritual experience as a result of these steps, I try to carry this message to others and to practice these principles in all my affairs. So basically, we have to serve. So I'm compelled to serve, me and my 6,000 friends, in broken chains. And so when I met Tara, she had these wonderful, amazing service opportunity ideas, where we could really impact people, and so man, it's been a great partnership, because Tara's a frontline battle hardened person, in this war on overdose and this war on, just so much hopelessness that's out there, and so she's been able to hook us up and connect us. We've been able to be a resource for each other. So she can connect us. We can give help that they didn't have help before, with kind of peer contact with some of the people that she meets that need treatment. We ride people to treatment. We identify treatment centers. We identify candidates for treatment. And then with that mental health coach training, we've learned to identify the different levels of care that somebody might need that's struggling with mental health challenges. Whether they need a program or inpatient treatment or just somebody to talk to or that kind of thing. So
Yeah. That's awesome, Tara. You're a connector. We know that. That's one thing Tara does is she connects, and she's always out on the front line, like you said. She's always out opening doors and bringing people together. And that was one of the things that I always loved about you, Tara, is you'd call me and say, "Hey, can you speak? I got a group of veterans and I got a group of first responders. Can you come in?" You'd mix the two up and all that, and so that was great. So just so everybody knows that's watching, like you've been at this a while. You've been a paramedic for a minute. We've had some good talks and some good stories, and really bonded over the crisis incident stress management and stuff like that. So just give people a little bit more insight of why you see the need to, well, I want to say help people, but you do, but in a more meaningful way than just being a paramedic.
So I think a lot of that comes from my background. So before becoming a paramedic, my background was in mental health and substance use, and I have done mental health and substance use from the inpatient side out in the community. I've worked with adults, with kids, with geriatrics, and really just see the needs to address the whole person, right? So just helping somebody work on their addiction issues, if you don't help with housing or financial issues or their ability to get their medication or transportation to treatment, right? All these things are barriers, and it really doesn't set people up for success. And I really feel like God has given me a whole bigger picture so that I can address that whole person.
Absolutely.
So many people go to the emergency department and think they're going to get help for mental health or substance use, and they really are not offered that because that's not their specialty,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like he's given me all this ability to go out and talk to people, right? I usually can corral people in and say, here's why it's a good idea for you, and why it's whether you're in public health or whether you're a biker, right? Like,
Yeah.
here's why we should all work on this together.
I love that, Jared, because when you say that, I think back to when I was in addiction. I was homeless for almost 3 years, and I would go to the emergency room because I'd get staph infection, I'd get the cellulitis, and I would have these big knots that would form on my legs. And so I would go into the emergency room, and they put me on a drip IV or an IV antibiotic, until everything was good. And then they would write me a prescription and send me on my way. And of course, I never got that prescription filled. I mean, that I wasn't spending money on stuff like that, and so essentially I'd be right back in there, a few days or a week later, to get treated again because I wasn't really getting help. It was just kind of like,
Yeah.
putting a band-aid on a gaping wound, so what you do, I mean, firsthand, I can see the difference that makes for people.
Yeah. Well, Jeff,
Well, and I
yeah, go
think
ahead.
that's one of the one of the things that attracted me down to Cape Fear and to Cumberland was the ability not only to work with EMS, but we're a hospital-based EMS system. So I'm able to go into the emergency department, into the hospital, right? And I know it's a lot more effective to get people treatment, especially long-term treatment, like a lot of folks are wanting from that emergency department. So I call it bed-to-bed transfer, right? If we can get you from the ED straight into an inpatient facility, it can help um, increase that success rate, right? So
Yeah.
it's been huge being able to look at the whole system. And just like Jeff said, even when people go up to that floor for an IV antibiotic, I mean, I've started those discussions about you got to think about they're going to go into withdrawal if they're on opiates, right? And how are we going to address that? Starting Suboxone in the hospital, things like that. So
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
getting people's meds before they ever leave there,
Well, it's so much more, right, than just the
Yes.
medical treatment, I mean, it's you got to learn to treat the whole patient, and part of the
Yep.
whole patient is the things that go on outside. Like you said, do they have the financial ability to do things? Do they have housing? Are they homeless? Or all the different things that can go into that, which is important. So, Jeff, we want to hear more about your story. And one place that you tell your story is in your book. And I want to introduce this now, and I want to introduce it later. So you hold it up. There you go. So you are an author. Tell us. And we just put there, Doc put where you can get the book. And if you get the book there, everybody, Jeff will sign it for you.
Sign
So
it. That's right.
yeah,
Hallelujah.
yeah, that's right. That's awesome. So let's hear about your story, and your story's in the book. So let's talk a
Yeah,
little
yeah.
bit
So
about
I
what
mean,
kind
I'll
of
just kind of give you a quick shot through. So I'm a real big community guy. I believe we're all looking for community, right? And so when I was young, I was heavy and I was picked on. I was scared and I was kind of a loner and I didn't have a community until I was about 13 years old when I started smoking marijuana and drinking alcohol. Then all of a sudden, I had a community, right? So I had a place where I fit in. I had a group of people that accepted me and that group of people would drag me down a road, for the next 30 years that was just horrible. I ended up in the military, went AWOL from the military, joined a motorcycle gang, and lived that life for a number of years. Of course, you can kind of see that background. So so as I got a little older, that was the second community that I found where I plugged into was the motorcycle club community or motorcycle gangs, whatever you want to call them. So I plugged into that life, and for about 15 years, I was the leader of two different motorcycle clubs down here in the Fayetteville, North Carolina area, and a lot of in the 80s and those things, a lot of violent times, a lot of kind of a crazy lifestyle to live, and then in 2001, my big sister suddenly died from pancreatic cancer, kind of out of the blue. She got diagnosed one day, and 2 weeks later, she was gone, and that kind of put me in a tailspin, and so Christmas of that year, she died in September. Christmas, I tried crack cocaine for the first time, and so, man, I'd been a functioning addict my whole adult life, but the functioning went out the window when I tried crack cocaine. Everything turned, and it was that life event that kind of spun me out of control. And the community I had was that community, of people that would drag me down, and so I ended up as a crack addict for 6 years. I was in addiction to crack for 6 years. The last 3 years, I was homeless in Nashville, Tennessee, and man, I'm one of those guys that's willing to do whatever it takes. And so in 2006, I was arrested over 30 times. I'd hit an older lady in the head and take her purse if I had to. It's whatever I had to do to get high, man. I put my parents in a bankruptcy. I walked out on my 6-year-old daughter, and left her, and just went absolutely crazy, man. But for a brief amount of time, I say I was sober. I wasn't sober. I was off crack. I was kind of in and out of treatment, And at one bout with that, when I got out of treatment, before I was back to smoking crack, me and a girlfriend of mine, we bought a bar in Nashville, Tennessee. So I always tell people, never leave treatment and buy a bar. Not a good idea. So,
That's true. That makes that's spot
yeah,
on.
yeah. I say I have to resist anything but temptation, right? So we bought this bar, and I never imagined, but this biker preacher guy started coming in the bar, and his name was Doc Ray Elder. And Doc, man, wasn't buying any of his Jesus talk or any of that, but I could tell he was just a nice guy, man. He was easy to get along with. He was kind. He was caring, man, and he was always there. He was always, when there was a struggle or a crisis, man, he was always there to keep everybody calm. And man, when we were struggling, he would pray with you, and he was just a great guy, man. So I ended up becoming friends with him, but then I got back on crack, man. Ended up losing a bar, homeless for the next 3 years, And so when I got out of jail, in fact, I just celebrated 17 years of sobriety on March 1st, and that's easy to remember that date, man, because I was in jail. That was the day I got locked up. That's how I got sober, was because I went to jail. That was my ultimate treatment. So I was in jail for about a month, and when I got out of jail, I didn't really want to quit getting high, but I wanted to quit going to jail. And the only way I knew to quit going to jail was to quit getting high. And so I had to figure out how to do that. And so I only knew one person in Nashville that didn't get high, and it was that biker preacher guy. Okay. And so I looked up his number and I called him, and he invited me to church. And I always say, man, I just thought church was just a weekly inconvenience for a bunch of holy people, right? To talk about how good they are and all that stuff. But I knew I had to get around some different kind of folks, So so I showed up at church that next week, and I'll never forget it, man. I was waiting for the judgment. Here I was, long hair down to my waist, beard, tattoos, blue jeans. I have all false teeth, so I was just coming out of being homeless, so I didn't have any teeth, no false nothing, man. I mean, I was a train wreck, And so I walked into this church, and I was waiting for the judgment from them people, man, because I didn't really want to be there anyway. But it never came. And those people at that church, Oak Hill Assembly of God on Franklin Pike in Nashville, Tennessee, man, they loved on me in a way that I'd never been loved on in my whole life. And they encouraged me. They made me feel special. And so a week later, I decided to go back. And so the week after that, I went back. And it's really kind of hard to describe, my experience that day. I didn't come forward for an altar call like people do. I didn't put my hand in the air. But I did have a real life experience with Jesus Christ, and my life began to change. I say began to change because, when I got saved, something changed, but everything didn't change. I still had a lot of issues. I still had a lot of problems, man, and a lot of things going on in my life. And then a couple weeks later, I had some people tell me about a ministry that they went to. It was a Christ Center 12-step meeting called Celebrate Recovery. And, it's really funny. I always say, so I remember telling him Jesus had delivered me from the addiction. I didn't need a recovery program. But the truth is, when I went there and I plugged into this 12-step process, and I got around, we say we're just a bunch of screwed up people that love Jesus, I realized I wasn't alone. It was okay to drop the mask.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, man. I got saved, and I thought all of a sudden everything was good, or it was supposed to be good. So when I was in front of people, I had to act like everything was good, man, because I got saved.
Yeah.
But I go to this Christ Center recovery meeting, man. I realized, man, everybody is screwed up. Yeah. And I needed help. I realized the drugs never were my problem. They were how I was trying to deal with my problem. It was really a self-worth issue that I had, like 99% of the other people out there, man. It was a value issue. And so plugging in with a bunch of other people that admitted that they had problems, and sitting down in share groups, man, and being able to be honest about myself without shame or embarrassment, realizing that everybody is struggling with something, man, life just got better, man. And so I just really plugged into that thing. Like I told you in the beginning, I'm just a guy that got pulled out of a ditch, man, and I can't shut up about it. I came running out of that jail cell of a mess of a life that I had created, and God actually gave purpose to my bad choices. And so he's using me now. I'm reaching back in that same ditch I've been in to help pull others out of that ditch, and sharing. And so now, man, I'm the founder and national director of Broken Chains. I'm the founder of the Motorcycle Missionary Organization. I don't know, the last last 6 years, I've ridden my motorcycle about 150,000 miles around the country, and like I said, God uses me in this unique way at gassing. I preach at churches and I share it my recovery story, and I do that, and I know there's value in that, but I often feel like I'm a Christian entertainer when I'm doing that, because I'm entertaining Christians, and I mean, again, I know there's value in that, but where God has used me, man, is out there at the gas
Yeah.
stations and the restaurants and the motorcycle shops and the hotels where people are dying. People are
Yeah.
dying from overdose. What was it, Tara? I think in December you said 951 911 calls from overdose here in Cumberland County. I mean,
So we're averaging about 280 a month.
280
that's
calls a
Overdose
month for
related
overdose.
911 calls. Yeah.
see, that's
And
Wow.
then
crazy.
and then on top of that, around 100 related suicide calls. I mean, people need hope, right?
Yeah, people need hope,
And
big
I
time.
always say our job is to love on people, and I mean, there's a lot of broken people that need us.
Yeah, absolutely. And literally, that's why, you know, I love what we're doing. I love this Tuesday night call. We had a gentleman on a couple weeks ago named Matthew Seaman, and he said the same thing. Um, he was addicted to alcohol. He had been on meth and had gotten it down to alcohol. But he said the alcohol was worse than the meth to him. It was really bad. But he had that moment just like you did, where he came to God. And that's what he gives all the glory to. Is the reason why he is where he is today is because he was in a hallway and he said, God, either take my life now or save me. And he was saved. And he works in facilities out in San Diego. Just a great, great guy. And so it's stories like what you're doing and the stuff that Tara does that really helps people. And that's what we're here to do. That's what we're supposed to be
Well,
doing.
that's the thing, and just like that, Jer, I'm sure God saved me, but then it took a community to come around
Yes.
me because he doesn't just drop out of the sky like a magic thing. He works. Jesus Christ works in my life through people, through the community that I'm a part of, and so. We crave community because
Yep.
we
Absolutely.
were created for community, so we crave it. And so to have a community now that props me up or picks me up and keeps me up, holds me accountable, you
Yeah.
know, and loves me, man, loves me not for what they can get from me, just because they love me, man, and we're doing life together. They don't try to fix me. They just walk this walk with me, man, because
Yeah.
life is tough. And it's tough for everybody. No matter if you're white or black, rich or poor, got a job, unemployed, married, single, man, life is tough on
Life is
all.
tough. Life is tough. And everybody, like you said, there's so many people out there struggling, and it's easy to fall into that path. It's easy to struggle. And I always say, that we always think we're walking alone a lot of times, and we're not walking alone. There's so many people walking beside us and walking the same path. And that's our job. That's convene communities. The word convene is to come together, and come together and lift each other up. And I love what you're saying because we call ourselves a platform with a purpose, and that's the purpose. The purpose is to be there for each other. And
Hallelujah. And that's what I love about the recovery community, man, because we can't be complacent Christians if we're in recovery because we have to. It's an action word, and we say the opposite of addiction is not sobriety; it's community.
yeah,
So we get plugged into this community, man, and we do life together. And then people have asked me about Broken Chains because we've become. I think we're the fastest growing Christian motorcycle group in the country, and they say, well, what's the secret? Well, it's no secret, man. We just created a tighter knit community within a community.
yeah,
So we're like-minded people in this recovery community that are even tighter now, and and we do life together. Tara and I have talked about sober events and things like that for the sober community, and we do that, and we don't even know we're doing that because we're all doing life together.
yeah,
And so we've got that community that's
absolutely.
healthy. That's healthy.
Well,
I mean, we all need a healthy community to belong to.
but it's like you said, it's life's not easy, and it really isn't easy. You're gonna have your up days, you're gonna have your down days, but who can you turn to when you have those down days? That's what I always talk to people about. Is that when you're having that down day, do you have somebody to talk to? Are you checking in? Brenda Warren is watching, and she's a Marine. with me, but we'll check in. She'll call me. She'll check in on me. I'll check in on her. Just, is everything okay? Because one of the things that's happened is she's seen some people take their lives here recently, and that's what we don't want to do. And you can't always tell when somebody's struggling. So you got to be checking in. You got to provide that community so people have somewhere to go and work with.
That's right. I mean, because like you said, that's happening all the time. And then when you get a gut punch, I mean, when life hits you square in the headlights, I mean, even more so, you got to have somewhere to turn. Because a guy like me, what I know to do is to go medicate.
Yeah.
That's what I know to do. But if I've trained, it's kind of funny. I've got some throat issue. I had throat cancer in 2018, and I'm a public speaker. And late in the year last year, I lost my voice completely. And so I had to go to Duke for speech therapy. And they taught me, it was funny because they said, we're going to teach you to talk different. But all they did was they had me doing these exercises because they didn't really teach me to talk different. They taught my muscles some new muscle memory.
Yeah.
So I don't intentionally talk any different, but my muscles have this memory through those exercises. And that's what recovery does for us. Recovery gives us that muscle memory so that when life happens, my first reaction is I'm not tempted to go get high. I'm not tempted to go make some bad choices. I'm tempted to call somebody that I know will be there for me and understand me. I'm tempted to go and hang out with a group of brothers, who are going to lift me up and keep me up, man, because that recovery has formed that muscle memory in me, and so, people just need each other so bad, man. I just trying to, help people. They need healthy each other's, not unhealthy each other's.
Yeah, exactly. And Tara, this is what you do. You connect people. You see it. And, I think that was one of the great things that you always, thanks to you for me is that, you found veterans and you found people that, needed my story and, you bring me in. And that's what you've done here with Jeff is, you're good at this.
I love connecting. I say I'm the dot connector all the time because that's what it feels like. I know, this piece, and it's like, oh, well, if we just work together, we can do this. So one of the things that we've been doing here that's really exciting to me. So I was out doing outreach one day with some folks that were homeless, and I grabbed my community partners and I'm like, let's all go because I can do this medical piece and you can assess the housing stuff and link them up with some things. And so it was 4 of us that day, and I came back and I told my chief, I said, I need to borrow one of these ambulances. It was like 95 degrees out there. It was hot, and I was like, I need you to give me one of these that we're not using so I can go out and ride around. And in the back of the ambulance, I have air conditioned, And he laughed at me, and I guess he thought, here she is with her. He says I have monkeys, they're everywhere.
I would agree with that.
Y'all know me, so y'all know how
I would
all these
agree with
monkeys
that.
are, right?
Yeah.
I call it a puzzle, and I just put the pieces together. But he kind of laughed me off that day, and so that Monday, I told my assistant chief, like, hey, look, I really need one of these, and so by Thursday, I had a 30-foot trailer here. And we've started doing these community outreach events. And so Jeff and them actually cook the food for them. This month we have a haircut bus coming. We have a laundry bus coming. All these community partners come. We do testing for STIs and HIV and Hep C. I mean, like it's just a whole host of services. And it is amazing just the difference a haircut can make in somebody, right? Their whole like self-esteem. So seeing some of these success stories and how we're able to go out into the community and reach people, like that part has been fun. I never ever expected that wild idea, right? And that's not at all why I came to Cumberland County. I came to start a Suboxone program in EMS.
Yeah.
That's what I came to do. And we haven't even started that yet because there's been all these other pieces, like, just like you mentioned, the military. And here we've got 2 military bases. So we've got not only the veterans, but we've got active duty folks. And the suicide piece is a real piece. And I said, knowing what I know and the resources I know, we can't not address this. So that's something else we've been doing. And it was funny. Before I ever met Jeff, I had designed this whole EMS Hope Dealer shirt that I wanted to get somebody to make. And then here's Jeff with his Hope Dealer piece. And it's like, Okay, that's like too ironic that,
Yeah,
it's a
it
God
is.
thing, obviously. I call it
Well,
my
such
God
a
wink.
great partnership. I mean, I was just recently in Ottumwa, Iowa, and I was up there to preach at a church, and so I was having dinner with the pastor, and I began to tell him about what we're doing, with Broken Chains and how we partnered with the community paramedic program, and so this pastor's like, man, we want to do that up here in Ottumwa, Iowa, and
Yeah.
so he found some bikers in his church, man, and they started a Broken Chains fellowship there. And then next thing I know, I get a call, and Tara says, "Yeah, I'm talking to the paramedic people up there in Ottumwa, Iowa. This little town, population 25,000. That when they get exposed to these solutions, that they just grab onto. So it's
Well,
amazing."
but here's the thing, Jeff, and Tara knows this. As you know, I was an air medical pilot for 5 years, 8 months for Baptist Hospital, another place. It's those small towns. I used to, one of my favorite places I ever worked. Some of my good friends still is Cherokee, Iowa. I used to go out there a lot. It's those small towns that struggle. One of the last places I worked as an air medical pilot was Portsmouth, Indiana. And I went in and I sat down in a Great Clips. I went in a Great Clips to get my hair cut, and I had my flight suit on. It was right after I got out of work. And the lady that was cutting my hair said, "Oh, do you work for Air Care here?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, were you on the call last week?" And I was like, "No, I wasn't on the call." And she goes, "Yeah, they came and got somebody out of here and then flew them." And I was like, "Well, what happened?" She said, "Well, the guy came in, sat down in my chair, and I was cutting his hair, and his friend went into the bathroom, and he was taking a long time in the bathroom, and he OD'd in the bathroom." you
Wow.
know? And so what had happened in this particular small town is that they had closed a lot of the manufacturing. And when they closed it, they couldn't find jobs. A lot of the manufacturing, what do you end up turning to? You turn to substance abuse and turn to, drugs. And that town was really, really bad. So, we spent, the time that I worked there, we flew multiple people who had OD'd on drugs and stuff. And so giving people that hope, and providing that community that you guys have put together, I hope it just starts to spread, all across the country, because it's hope. You're right. People need
Absolutely,
hope.
it's really kind of a grassroots movement, that's helping expose people to the fact that they are cared, that they do matter, that they do have value, and expose them to a community that's a healthy community to become a part of. That's the other thing. We carry around the little postcards that have QR codes for all the recovery program. Not just the Christ Center, Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Celebrate Recovery, Recovery Alive, Smart Recovery, and we give those to people. Man, we just get in where you fit in. Just plug in somewhere where you might be able to find some help and break free from some of this stuff, and begin to have a life.
Yeah. Wow.
Tara, your new Convene Communities name is Lego.
Oh, is that it?
Connecting people
Hey, Jeff,
left
that
and
might have to be
right.
my patch instead of
Hey,
boots.
Doc, let go my ego. What? No,
Lego
ain't
is
no my
something.
Lego. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Hey, Lego that addiction.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I like it, Doc.
Yeah. Keela asked a little bit. She's works up in the sheriff's department up here, Tara, and she's asked where y'all are from. And so that y'all are both down in the Fayetteville area. And Jeff, both of you were up here. And at one point in time, you were up here. And obviously, Tara, you just left up in Stokes County, right?
Yeah, so we actually were just in Davie County presenting a few weeks ago. And I mean, because this stuff to me makes so much sense, right? We are really happy to share with people some of the things that that we're doing. Jeff panned around on his bike earlier, so one of the things we do, we get Narcan, and they help us with distributing it because I think it's different taking it from somebody that looks like Jeff, right? So one of the things that they've created is Narcan stickers and patches. They've got stickers on their motorcycles and patches on their vests because y'all know bikers in their vests,
I'm
right?
trying to turn that around so you can see the.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
there's
wow.
So since this whole partnership,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
actually a great idea.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
yeah, right.
I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just never know where you're going to need to use Narcan, and not everybody's ready to quit. Like I believe in meeting people where they're at, right?
Yeah.
So if they're not ready to quit yet, I still want to send that message of hope and say, we need to keep you alive. Jeff and I both tell you, dead people don't recover, right? So
Right.
I need to give you hope. So we do things like teach people about the Never Use Alone hotline, right? So that if somebody is still using, that somebody stays on the other end of the phone with them. And if that phone line goes dead, they call 911.
Yeah.
But, you know, people in harm reduction, Jeff has had to learn some new things. And so did I in my career, because I was in that abstinence mindset. But
Yeah.
thinking about harm reduction and keeping people alive, we've had to change some of the ways that we think about things, right?
You know, the guy I was talking about, Matthew, that was on here a few weeks ago, he said one of the, I think made the most sense to me, is that he carries around his business card and he'll get called to the hospital. When he goes into the hospital, he said the patients are thinking that he's going to ask them, you know, are you ready? Are you feeling like you're a burden on your family? And he said the standard list. But what he's able to do is go in and say, listen and say, hey, you know, I was addicted to meth. I addicted to alcohol. I've been right where you were. And he said, I'll hand him the card and I'll say, he says, well, when you're ready, you call me when you're ready, not when your parents are ready, not when your wife is ready or your husband are ready or your kids are ready, because it doesn't matter if they're ready. They're obviously ready. But when you're ready, you call me. He said that he's had calls 1 year, 2 years, 4 years. And he's like, it's the best thing I do. He goes, I don't say, are you ready now? Let's go. We'll go to the treatment right now. He says, when you're ready. And he said he's amazed that people carry that business card around in their pocket for years. And then he'll get a phone call in the middle of the night.
And that's part of Jeff's story, you know, with the preacher that was at the bar.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to step off here and grab a couple of rags to show you guys something.
Okay. That's cool.
I think I'm in my underwear, so don't look.
Woohoo! Now I'm awake.
We see it.
We have a good time with people. Can you tell?
Exactly.
Where is the song "Baby Got Back" when I need it?
I know you didn't have it ready yet. We should have had that queued up. Oh, for sure. Yeah, Tara, I love it. I mean, you've had me speak at churches. You've had me speak all over the place. And it's just really, really good. I love what you do. I've always loved what you do. And I love how you just bring people together. So, which is cool. All right. We saw your butt. It was nice.
First of all, I have to say, I have to say how brave it is of you to get away from the standard tidy whities. You know, that hot pink looks great on you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Doc. So we have these rags, and this has the full version of the Serenity Prayer.
Oh, cool.
And so a lot of people know the first 4 lines, but there's more to it than that. And it's a great practical daily tool to have. And so I carry these everywhere I go. And when I meet somebody at a gas station or a restaurant or a waitress that's serving me in a restaurant, I always say, let me give you something. And I tell them for the little message, you can use the rag. And for the big message, you can use Jesus in the prayer. And so it's got a website there. So this is my business card.
That is perfect.
And they can go to the website and get plugged in through there, you know, so.
Wow. That's perfect. Well, you're obviously being successful because y'all have chapters everywhere.
Praise God. So yeah, we gave away 17,000 of these at Sturgis last year.
Okay.
And I got to tell you, I don't know if you guys know what the 1% biker community is. So,
yes,
so there's a group that has a clubhouse right off Main Street in Sturgis, so 1%ers. And after the first day we were there, they came down to us and said, hey, we got one of our members is dying from cancer. Could one of you guys come up here and pray with him?
Oh, wow.
And so I thought that was just an amazing opportunity. And we're a little different than your average Christian motorcycle group. We're not trying to beat people over the head and make them pray to receive Jesus. You know, I mean, that's great if they do, but that's not what we're all about, man. We just want to love on people, you know, let them know that it's okay to not be okay. And you know, people seem to respond a little more with, you know, kindness and caring than they do with, you know, with just a Bible beating. So
what do you beat them over the head for then?
Well, you know, we'll talk about that after the podcast.
Roger.
I can't incriminate myself during this national time.
Yeah.
Completely get it.
So, Matt, one of the things too, I want to make sure that we mention and we don't forget. One of the things that Jeff and them are doing in May is what we call a Hope Dealer Conference. So it's their first ever. You want to talk about that, Jeff?
Sure. So we're talking about how to be a hope dealer, man. So a lot of people out there, a lot of people follow me around. They say I want to do what Jeff does. They don't really want to. They don't really want to do what I do, man. They just want to be hope dealers.
Yeah.
And they want to share hope with people. And so with Broken Chains members all over the country, we're kind of hope dealer experts.
Yeah.
And so we're having a How to Be a Hope Dealer training conference in Western North Carolina, May 3rd and 4th.
Okay.
And it's in Hendersonville, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
We have fantastic 2 days filled with, we've got some amazing national speakers. We've got some great breakout sessions on, Narcan certification. We've got mental health stuff, suicidal ideation, being taught about. We've got personal fundraising. I'm trying to think of all of it. Evangelism. There's just all kinds of amazing breakouts. Sessions that we're going to have, as well as the main stage speakers, from national recovery movements like Celebrate Recovery, the founder of Recovery Alive. And so it's going to be a unique conference, and we're giving away a chopper. So we're giving away a chopper for somebody. We're not rattling off, just somebody that comes to the conference. We're just going to give away this custom chopper too. So.
Yeah. Wow.
You did the chopper.
That's
You know
right,
what?
man.
I'm a helicopter pilot. So when you said chopper, I was like, yeah, helicopter. Like, for real?
Oh man.
I was like,
Well,
that
Doc,
is.
I
Yeah.
saw where you said Brenda wants to know how to get a rag. If she'll shoot me an email at motorcyclemissionary.com, I'll send her a rag.
All right. So put that, if you don't mind, put that email in there in the chat, and then Doc will repost it out.
Oh,
if that's
okay.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Jay's on too, Jeff. So Jay Mike can do it for you.
Jay's
Yeah.
on?
Yeah, Jay, our Jay.
Yeah.
What's Jay doing on?
What are you waiting for, Jay? Let's get it in the room already.
That's right. Celebrity there. Awesome. Oh, look, that's really cool. That's cool that you're doing that event. Yeah. Very cool.
Well, so we're excited. So you can go to brokenchainsjc.com to register for that. It's $99 for 2 days.
Yeah.
And we're expecting about 600 up there for that. And it's going to be, we got people coming from Hawaii, California, Wyoming, Arizona, Texas. Man, I mean, there's New Jersey, and there people just coming out of the woodwork. We've got city officials, first responders, bikers, pastors, just a whole slew of different kind of people, coming that just want to learn how to share their hope, in a little more effective way. So.
Outstanding. What are the dates on that again?
That's May 3rd and 4th.
May 3rd and 4th. Very cool.
I sent you a flyer with that too, Matt. But
Okay.
Tara is one of our main stage speakers. So Tara is going to be one of the one of our big talk. Yeah.
we're going to talk about this, how to partner EMS and bikers together, right?
That's really cool.
Lego.
Maybe.
I'm going to have to use that.
I mean, what a great avenue for anybody around the country to go. They can go to their paramedic community and say, hey, we want to help. We want to help
absolutely.
With some of the people that you're picking up,
Well, Jeff,
I mean, that's why it makes sense. EMS is everywhere, and Broken Chains, they're all over the U.S., but we can build more pockets of it.
Well, maybe next year, Jeff, I can get on that stage on the annual.
Hallelujah, man. We'd love to have you.
Tara will vouch for me.
He's a great speaker too, Jeff.
Okay, yeah. Let's do
Y'all know how we find the best, right?
Or if you had
some grand entrance where you come in the chopper.
That's right. That's what I did. Yeah. Or if you have somebody drop out, just let me know. I'm on standby. I'm close. I'm right here in Winston.
Well, you might as well go ahead and register and be there in case we need to pull you up on stage.
What? I might. I'm gonna check it out, and I am. I'm gonna look at it and check it out. Because I'd like to. If I'm not out flying, right? So
I understand.
Yeah.
I'll be there too. I'm a heck of a water boy.
Yeah, he is. He is. He's very good at it. No, that's really cool. I'm going to try to see if I can make it there for sure. That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Yeah, I love that. That's really, really cool. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, you've taken, taken what you've, it's turning your story into something that is making a difference in people's lives.
That's right. Rick Warren said one time, I heard him say, I'll never forget, years ago, he said, just find something that you love to do, that you have a passion for, and then do it for God's glory.
That's it.
And so it's so crazy, man. When I got saved and sober, I thought I had to look like a Christian. So I cut off my hair, I shaved my beard, I put on a suit and tie, man. I went to school, I became a pastor. 9 years later, man, 9 years later, God said to me, it's okay to ride a motorcycle for Christ's sake. And
Yeah.
so in 2016, when I realized I could be me for
Yeah.
God's glory, man, that mask came off, those blinders came off, because Paul says, that Jesus, for freedom, we've been set free, right?
Yeah.
So, man, it ain't about a bunch of rules, it ain't about a bunch of bondage, man. I'm free to be me, and I get to do it for God's glory, man, and help people realize some
Absolutely.
freedom and hope that they need badly. So
Yeah.
man, it's just, I love that I get to be this, because this is the guy I am.
Yeah.
And I get to be this guy, and freak them out when I tell them I'm a diamond member at the
Yeah.
Hilton.
That's right. Exactly. Tara, I used to speak when I'd speak for her. A lot of times I'd be in a flight suit, always in a flight suit. But there's a story behind that, which the reason why I spoke in a flight suit all the time. I had this website done. So this people, they did this website for me, and they take me in and they sit me down at this at the conference table, and I'm there, and I got this tie on, not even tie, like a collared shirt, and I have this like coat on, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the camera and everything. And I had this good Christian lady review my my website. And so I was meeting her at a Starbucks. And when I met her at the Starbucks, she sat down, prim, proper lady, just a great lady. And she sits down at the table with me, and she's going to tell me what she thinks about my website. And she looks at it, and she goes, "Can I be open and honest with you?" And maybe what I'm about to say is, and her husband was a paramedic, longtime paramedic, Navy retired. And she said, "What I might say might shock you because you know a little bit about who I am." And she goes, "Who the F is that?" That's what she said. She goes, "Who the F is that?" She goes, "Nobody wants to hear from that guy because that guy looks so uncomfortable sitting at that table." She goes, "Who are you?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Who am I?" So here she is cussing me out at the table,
Yeah.
She goes, "Who
Yeah.
are you?" And she goes, "That's not you." She goes, "You're a pilot. You've been a pilot your whole life. You're retired military. You're a air medical pilot." She goes, "That's who people want to hear from because that's your credibility. That's who you are." And that's the same thing that you just said.
Yeah.
When you're wearing the tie and you're clean shaved, that's not your story. That's not who you are. And you
That's
got to
right.
be your authentic self. You have to be, like Brenda says, be authentic. I
I
could
call
not
that
agree with that more.
I call that decorating furniture.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
Yeah.
I don't believe in decorating furniture. If
Yeah.
God loves you, he's gonna love you, and you ain't gotta pretend to be somebody else.
That's
That's
exactly
right.
right. That's
That's right.
right.
He actually created me to be me, So when I was able to get a hold of that, that, like I said, that whole self-worth thing that 99% of our population struggle with, when I was able to find my identity in Christ and realize it was okay to be me,
Yeah.
man, it's fantastic. In fact, like I said, I own a bathroom remodeling company. And so this is how I dress when I go out for a job quote,
Yeah.
when I go to quote jobs. And people look at me a little weird sometimes at first. I'm had my wife say, put some sleeves on a t-shirt when you go out and quote those jobs. No, because the conversation always goes back to the freedom I found in Jesus Christ, even
Yeah.
those job quotes, And so
Yeah.
people are out there and they're hurting, they're in bondage, man. And so, man, I can remodel bathrooms all day long. I got plenty of those lined up. Man, what I want to do is tell people about some freedom they can have, they can enjoy in life,
Ain't not
Absolutely.
for nothing, but that sounds like a shitty job.
Somebody's got to do it.
That's it. That's so
I love
funny.
it. I love it.
Yeah. No, that's it. Again, providing hope, right? Providing the resource, providing hope. You never know. I mean, I wish you could, and not that you need to, but I mean, how many people have you saved? How many people have you just made, brought
Yeah,
out of the,
I was telling my board earlier, I wish I was a journaler because
yeah,
there's so many amazing moments that I can't even remember them all. I mean, and I wish that I would write it down, but I don't.
I'm the same way, Jeff. I say that too
yeah,
because one week I remember it, but then 3 weeks later we already done 50 million more things. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one amazing thing after another,
yeah,
when you're doing this kind of work, with people.
Oh,
So,
it
and
is.
it's so rewarding, and it's not easy. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people think that they're looking for happiness or money or free time and really what people are looking for is purpose.
They are.
And purpose isn't easy. It isn't always happy. It's really kind of an adventure, right? I mean, you have ups and downs, and there's scary turns and twists. But man, what a crazy, amazing adventure filled with the purpose you were created for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there's just nothing better, man.
Wow. I couldn't agree with you more because I think that, I think God put us here to lift each other up. I think, we all have a story. We all have something to share. And you have to know that you mean something, and you have to
Yeah,
know that you're not walking alone, and you can share that story and you can help people out. And that's what we're here to do. We have to have that purpose. We have to be the hope dealer. I love that. It's like, that's just the perfect thing, you know? And
yeah.
you gotta look out for your fellow man and woman. That's really
Well,
it.
we are our
Mhm.
brothers and sisters keepers, right?
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
I hope God brings you extra padding for your derriere, riding all those miles on that motorcycle. Holy
Yeah, I
smokes.
Yeah,
got to tell you guys a funny story. So I got a buddy of mine. He's a physical therapist, and so I told him. I said, "Look, JD, after about 500 miles, my left leg starts to hurt. What's wrong?" He said, "Bro, after 500 miles, of course your left leg's gonna hurt."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I don't know if you knew, Tara, but I'm recovering from a hip replacement too, so,
Oh goodness.
yeah, I'm broken. It's not good. It's
yeah,
not good.
yeah.
I
Not for
know.
active people, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So many comments, so little time.
No, we don't have time. All right, so what's that? We talked about the conference, but what's next? What are you guys doing? How are y'all going to grow? How can people help you grow? Tara, you want to take that first, and from
Sure.
your side, and then we'll get Jeff's side.
Well, I think so a few more things that we do post overdose response. We really partner together, right, to try to get. I mean, imagine a Jeff and a Tara coming out together,
Yeah,
right? So if they don't want to talk to the person in the uniform, talking to the biker is way cooler, I think.
yeah,
Um, but Jeff also does the CIT presentations, crisis intervention team, like you
yep,
used to do, Matt. But another thing we do is like outreach to our homeless population. I think that's another important thing. We have a huge homeless population here in Cumberland County, so Motorcycle Missionaries actually has bought those supplies for bags. We pack those and got those distributed to folks. But one of the cool things that they're planning now is a breakfast for the first responders, because it's like people don't realize, I don't think, how much the first responders are hurting and how
oh
much
gosh,
this
yeah,
impacts them, right?
absolutely,
So I think building that relationship, and so I've bringing Jeff into CIT and in front of first responders, it's like, here's another resource for you too, right?
yep,
Somebody that you can talk to. A couple of their folks are retired firefighters. One's the EMT, so I think it helps to know, like, that they pour
yeah,
into that. But they also, like, just recently did food for one of the treatment providers. So imagine this group of bikers preparing a meal for people that go to a Suboxone clinic or a
yeah,
methadone clinic, right?
yeah,
So like so many opportunities out there. It really just depends on your community, what resources are there, and for me, having that open heart, right, and that willingness to meet people where they are.
yeah,
Again, most folks from churches don't go to the Suboxone clinic to take food, right? We go pass out those casseroles when you come home from that hip surgery, Matt.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
I mean, how many people come and bring you the casserole when you get out of treatment for mental health or substance use
absolutely.
related issues?
To let them
So
know they're loved, and that
yeah,
people are there for them.
and
That.
I mean, I think you can see Jeff and I are passionate in our work. You've
Mhm.
known that about me for
Absolutely, I've known
years,
that about you for years. Yes,
I would
right?
never guessed.
yeah, yeah,
So, I mean, the opportunities are endless with this. I think knowing that we've got the data, right? We know who we're running the overdose calls on, and the suicide related, all these mental health and substance use issues. We just need the people, like the Jeffs and the Broken Chains group to be there and partner. And I think people just have never thought about, EMS and bikers partnering
Yeah.
together, right? I mean, I tell him all the time, I'm like, this is like just amazing, and I get paid to do this, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's
right.
Yeah.
crazy because we have so
That
much
brings up
fun.
my point. For us, we're looking for partners, man. So we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, motorcyclemissionary.com. And so the deal is we don't get paid, to do that. So we have our day jobs. So we're having to work 40 hours a week and then try to get out there and impact the community as much as possible. So when we have partners that help us to defray some of the costs, because I've been in 3 different states in the last week and a half, and I pay for that all out of my pocket to go
Yeah.
somewhere else and share with people, about the hope and freedom that's available. So financial partners is a big deal for us. We
Yeah.
appreciate any help from anybody. We always say everybody can't do what I do, but everybody can do something, right? And
Absolutely.
we've proven faithful to the work. We go out, we get the work done, and we don't. We're responsible with the resources that God provides us through people. So
Yeah, that's really cool. And you can find those places to donate on your websites that we posted in here, for
absolutely, and
sure.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we need to talk more and get you into it. So, Convene is a community-based platform. We need to have a community for you inside of there where you're bringing your bikers together. That's a different conversation, but I love what you're doing. I love the difference
Yeah,
that you're making. I've always loved what Tara does. We need to do some CIT training together. That'd be fun,
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Yeah,
sounds
that'd
great.
be good. Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Y'all are both great speakers, so
yeah, we could put on a show, and you know
Hallelujah.
what? It is, really, it is. You take your story, it is a show. I mean,
Yeah,
but
well,
it's a
absolutely,
message.
man.
It's a
Yeah,
show with the message, and that's really
hallelujah.
what you want to do. And I'll tell you, you said it. I look forward to this doing what I do every
Praise
day, because that is what we're supposed to be doing. And so when I have the opportunity to talk to somebody, to help somebody, and then not only that, but to work with people like yourself and Tara and all the great people that are in Convene and see all the stuff that they're doing, is just wonderful. So we give you, Tara, real quick, the last word for you, and then we'll give Jeff, you the last word. But first, Doc, what do you got to say before we give them the last words?
Let's do this.
Before I throw it to you, Tara, that donate button up in the corner, that's for Doc. If you want to throw him some dollars, because he does this out of the goodness of his heart, please
Hallelujah.
do so. Doc, you're great. Thank you as always. Tara, what do you got?
I mean, I just think if people want to help, there's opportunities there to partner, in your community. And one of the things I say with Jeff and I is we're better together, right? Because
Absolutely.
there's pieces I can do that he can't do, and vice versa. Um, and anybody wants to help write grants, I'm always open for that too, because
Yeah.
there's always opportunities. And if you don't know how to fund this in your community,
Yeah.
there's lots of grant dollars out there right now. But community partners have a lot to offer. They all have different budgets for different things, and
Yeah. Let's come
it's a lot
together.
about networking
Yeah, it is networking, coming
and
together.
that passion, right?
Yeah.
Find the cheerleaders in your community that are passionate about
Well,
it.
people want to make a difference. There's a lot of people out there that want to make a difference. You just got to connect like you do, Tara. So Jeff, close us out.
That's right. Well, I tell you what, man, I heard a lady, Dr. Anita Phillips, a couple years ago, made a statement that kind of revolutionized my life. And she said, you always have to be willing to consider you might not know what you think you know. And so I've found that in ministering to people and meeting people out there, paramedics, first responders, fire, police, homeless, Christians. I mean, I can be very judgmental, and so I would challenge everybody, man, to consider that you might not know what you think you know about people around you,
Yeah.
and be willing to reach out and open up and be accepting and loving, for those in your community that need it the most, because we just never know what people are going through. We never know what people have been through. We don't know where people are at, mentally and the challenges that they're up against. So we just need we need love on each other, right?
Yeah.
We say for me as a pastor, I can't fuss somebody to Jesus. I can't gripe somebody to Jesus. I can't guilt somebody to Jesus. The only thing I can do is love somebody to Jesus.
Absolutely.
So I'm just
Absolutely.
grateful to be on here today, man. It's been a wonderful talk, man. I really appreciate the podcast. I'm gonna have to tune in and check it out more often.
That's
Than
right. Well, we'll have you back on. We'll have both of you back on, and you need to think about doing a podcast because I'm sure you got some great stories within your organization and the stuff that you guys are doing. Like Tara said, alone we can do so little, but together we can do so much. I totally think that. So God bless you both. Thank you for coming on, and let's do it again.
Thanks for having us.
Good night, everybody.